Welcome, everybody, to Intensity Broadcasting for coverage of the DIRTKars Pro Late Model Series presented by Falcon Grafix. Tonight, these Pro Late Models will be taking on the always treacherous Weedsport Speedway located in the virtual Weedsport, New York. This should be a fun one, as all the races that I've seen at Weedsport have been awesome ones. So, excited for this one. So far in practice, DC Smith is the fastest with a 14.40, and he's over 2/10 faster than second place Donnie Bartlett. So right now it's looking like DC Smith is going to be the one to watch from what we've seen in practice. Before I get too much in the racing action, I do want to thank our sponsor for DIRTKars. That is Falcon Grafix, and Falcon Grafix is probably the best place to get your iRacing paint schemes done, and they can do it for a very, very reasonable price, around $10 to $15 for an awesome paint scheme. So make sure to check them out, Falcon Grafix. I have actually put their Facebook page link in the description, so you can visit them and get yourself an awesome looking paint scheme. I know this paint scheme right here that Donnie Bartlett's running, that was done by Falcon Grafix. This one right here that Mick has, this is done by Falcon Grafix. And then I believe also John Bartlett's Pro Late Model was done by Falcon Grafix. So if you like some of the works that you're seeing right now, visit them on Facebook. And again, I have put their Facebook page link in the description. Now, last week we raced at Knoxville Raceway, where Donnie Bartlett ended up taking the victory. He led from flag to flag, had the fastest average lap time, and overall just looked 2 times better than everybody else. His brother John finished 1 second behind him in second place. Matt W. George third, DC Smith fourth, and then Will Witt fifth. And after 5 races, DC Smith has 2 wins, Randy Rockwell has 2 wins, and Donnie Bartlett, with his win last week, that was his first win of the season, he has 1 win. And then after that, 4th and 5th in points are John Bartlett and Matt W. George. So we've now got 1 minute left in practice before heat races. And again, DC Smith is on top with a 14.40, but 2/10 behind him is Donnie Bartlett with a 14.60. Matt George had a 14.67, 700ths off him. Mick Olafson in 4th, 14.80. And then in 5th, we had John Bartlett with a 14.81. So about 4/10 separating from 1st through 5th, which isn't bad. Less than a second separating. And then still, even if we look at 7th, Blake Brown, fastest time of 14.90, that's still less than a second off. So overall, pretty good lap times are getting ran here at Weedsport. And before we get officially into the heat races, let's look at our race info. 75 degrees Fahrenheit is the air temperature, 47% humidity, cloudy skies, 1 miles per hour wind speed. Track temperature is a little bit cooler, which is surprising considering this is a day race. 71 degrees Fahrenheit, and the track length is 0.34 miles. So it is a decently short track. So let's go ahead and now look at our starting lineup for the heat race, and this heat race will determine the starting lineup for our feature event. Will Witt starting on the pole in the number 35 Operators Racing Machine. Blake Brown is starting second. 3rd place is going to be John Bartlett. Outside of him, we got the Hood Up Motorsports Machine of Matt George, and then rounding out your top 5, it's Donnie Bartlett. Mick Olafson in that 75 machine starts the race in 6th, and then last but not least, starting in the back, it's DC Smith. Got everyone on the grid. Getting excited to start this one. And looks like, I believe, Will Witt is doing race control or adminning. So that's going to mean that Blake Brown is actually going to be starting on the pole. And John Bartlett will be starting second. So we're going to do our formation lap. Lights on the pace truck. They have gone off. So I believe we're going to do one more lap around this 0.34 mile oval. And get ready for this feature event right here. It looks like Blake Brown is going to stay on the top, so that's going to mean that John Bartlett will be starting this race on the bottom. Everybody's getting ready. And there goes the pace truck into the pits. Green flag is out for our 7-lap heat race. John Bartlett takes advantage of the good starting position, takes the lead from Blake Brown. Blake Brown falls in line in second place. Matt George third, Donnie Bartlett fourth, and DC Smith has already made his way up to the 5th spot. Right now, closest battle on track. We got Matt George looking under Blake Brown for the 2nd spot. Matt George on the inside. He's gotten to about the door or the rear quarter panel of that 28. And the 28 is going to make a pass on John Bartlett for the lead. Oh! And the 11 and 28 make contact. And John Bartlett is going to fall back. Him, the 28. Let's look at it. Let's look at a replay of that right there, of the contact between those two. Might have just gotten too big of a run and had nowhere to go except for into the back bumper of the 28. Luckily, both of them were able to save it and keep going. 3 laps to go for Matt George to finish this heat race off. DC Smith is trying to get up there to Donnie Bartlett. And oh, Donnie Bartlett gets a little bit loose. DC Smith is going to capitalize on the mistake, take the 3rd spot. John Bartlett, though, is not far behind, saying, hey, I want to get into the top 3. And final lap for Matt George. He's got about a 2nd lead over Blake Brown. It's looking pretty good for him. So we'll watch this battle for the 3rd spot. DC Smith is clear over John Bartlett as we head through 3 and 4. And DC Smith is going to get 3rd. Blake Brown 2nd. Matt George is your heat race winner. Matt George will be starting on the pole for our feature event. We will have another 3-minute warm-up to let these drivers get a little bit more acclimated with Weedsport Speedway. And this league is open setup, so this is also going to mean we're going to see some more, these drivers make some final tweaks to their setup. Thank you, Matt George, for liking the stream. Good luck tonight here at Weedsport. Looked pretty fast in the heat race. He says, shoo! That was an awesome heat race to watch right there, Matt. Again, good luck in the feature. We got some of our pro late models out on track right now, getting ready to set some times. Blake Brown gets to the top of the board. Oh, and as I say that, DC Smith sets a 14.88. He goes to the top of the board. Donnie Bartlett with a 15.20. And then Blake Brown with a 15.50. Donnie Bartlett breaks into the 14s with a 14.97. Blake Brown with a 15.08. Some fast times right now. Ooh, Donnie Bartlett with a good time, 14.80. Matt George gets a 14.84. Donnie Bartlett with a 14.76. And Matt George hops to the top of the board with a 14.55. He won the heat race, so we know he's got some speed. And he's definitely showing it here in practice. I'd say Matt George is probably the favorite to win this race here at Weedsport. DC Smith, though, also. He's got 2 wins this season. We know he's got a strong pro late model. So I definitely say watch out for that number 2 machine as well. DC Smith improves on his fastest time with a 14.64. He shaves about 200ths off. And warm-up is getting ready to get wrapped up here. Top 3, Matt George, DC Smith, and John Bartlett. There we go. We are now getting set for our feature event. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting on the pole in that Hood Up Motorsports, number 23, Matt George. He was your heat race winner. Blake Brown, also with Hood Up Motorsports in that number 28, starting outside of him. DC Smith starting in 3rd with John Bartlett 4th. And then rounding out your top 5, we got John's brother Donnie in the number 29. Mick Olofsson starts the race in 6th. And then last but not least, it's Will Witt. So we're letting everyone get lined up for the feature event. There we go. Got all cars participating on the grid. And the cars are now able to go. They're shifting into 1st gear. Actually, no, these Pro Late models, I believe, only have 1 gear. So they are automatically in 1st gear. But here we go. Getting some warm-ups. We're going to have our formation lap. And then after that, it's going to be green flag racing. A 45 lap race. So that's plenty of time for these drivers to make some moves. Might see some battles. This should be a good one here. Here we go. Matt George, your pole setter, getting ready to go. Pace truck pulls off. And we are green flag racing here at Weedsport. There's Bonnie, the flag man, waving the green flag already side by side for the lead. Getting a good run on the bottom is Matt George. Here comes DC Smith trying to make the move for 2nd. Ooh, is he gonna... He slides up, makes a little bit of contact with the 28, but in the end holds on to that second spot, but Blake Brown is still hanging with that number 2 machine. We'll see if he tries to get that second spot back. Now DC Smith is going to try to get up there to Matt George. See Donnie Bartlett starting to close in onto Blake Brown to try to take that third spot away. On a little bit lower line than Blake is at the moment. Blake right now, he's riding the cushion. And here comes Donnie on the bottom. They're side by side through 3 and 4. Oh, the 29 and the 28 make contact. John Bartlett gets into it, and no, the 29 of Donnie Bartlett is on his lid. Caution is out. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Wreckage Replay right here. And I'd say it all started when Donnie was battling with that 28. So here we go. Here's the replay on what exactly happened there. All right, here we go. So they were side by side through 3 and 4. Fighting for that third spot. And Donnie just slid up the track a little bit. I don't know if he thought he was clear of the 28, but he hit the nose and both of them into the wall. John Bartlett had nowhere to go. Gets into the 28. And then Donnie Bartlett hits that inner safer barrier in turn 1. And that was almost like a spatula. And it just flipped Donnie right onto his lid. That's definitely a shame for Donnie Bartlett, who won our previous race at Knoxville. Got Blake Brown and Donnie Bartlett on pit road. Both of them had severe damage from that incident. About to go back green. Matt George restarting in first. He had the lead when the caution came out, but watch out for DC Smith on that high side. That number 2 machine is looking fast. All right, we're going to take this time by. Pace truck is going to pull into the pits. We're going to go back green flag racing. I will say Blake Brown has exited pit road. And he's ready. The car is looking good. Here we go. Pace truck pulls off. And we are back green flag racing here at Weedsport. Matt George gets a good jump on the restart. Gets ahead of DC Smith. But DC, he's right on Matt George's back bumper at the moment. Looking low, trying to get under that 23. And uh-oh, caution's out. Blake Brown gets in an incident right on this restart. Let's go ahead and watch what happened. He was side by side with Mikkel Lofson. And, ooh, I think he just might have moved up the track a little bit too much. Made some contact with the 75. And then he's running that really, really low line, but maybe it was a little bit too low as he bounces off the inner safer barrier. And I was about to say right into the 75, but looks like he didn't make any contact with Mick. And looks like that was not the cause of the caution, actually. So I'm not sure. We're lined up on the front stretch. I am really not sure what happened that ended up bringing out the incident, but looks like we have a red flag as we're stopped on the front stretch. But looks like we're rolling again.
Alright, man. Lights are back on the pace car.
Alright, thank you, John. Looks like 29 coming on track. Oh, so it was just to get Donnie Bartlett back on